These villains gave our heroes a run for their money.
Mogambo. खुश हुआ.
Hello guys, welcome to Filmanter, and for today's list, we'll be taking a look at some of the best villains in Bollywood history who overshadowed their respective counterparts. Before we dive straight into the list though, please make sure to subscribe to Filmanter for more such exciting content ahead. And please note that this list is gonna contain some spoilers. With that out of the way, this is Amir, and here are top 10 Bollywood villains who stole the show. Number 10, Rakesh Maharaj in Ek Villain. Although both the film's lead characters Guru and Rakesh were marketed to be the quote-unquote villains heading into this 2014 action thriller, it was pretty apparent right from the first teaser that Guru was the quintessential hero of the film while Rakesh was the villain. Before we talk about Rakesh though, let's first acknowledge how good was Siddharth in his portrayal of the troubled Guru in his third film only. Now with that said, how much better was Ritesh freaking Deshmukh as Rakesh Maharaj? The actor was typecasted hard in supporting comedic roles heading into Ek Villain, drawing concerns over fans' believability in seeing him in such a negative light. Deshmukh, however, overperformed all our expectations and gave arguably his best performance to date in the film. Playing a middle-class sociopath who goes on a killing spree to satisfy his frustrations with the world, Deshmukh was right at money with his portrayal of Maharaj, whether depicting his love for his abusive wife, the pittiness he would feel when committing those crimes, or his uncomfortable social interactions. To many, Deshmukh stole all of Sid's thunder in Ek Villain, and to be honest, we can see their point.
Thank you, Dost.
Number 9, Isha Diwan in Gupt, The Hidden Truth. Female representation in negative roles has been scarce in Bollywood to say the least. But when done right, it has proven to be the backbone of several flicks. One of the best such cases was this 1997 suspense thriller, which saw Kajol embrace the darker side as an obsessive lover who goes on an undercover killing spree of her own at the very thought of losing the person she adores the most. Gupt is an edge-of-your-seat thriller that keeps you guessing who's behind the murders and keeps dropping subtle hints of Isha's psychotic behavior at various intervals to end on a climactic reveal. Kajol's tremendous take on Isha is something that is still celebrated today as one of the only few times when a leading female actor took up such a risky role, and that too at the prime of her mainstream career. And we can't help but hope that other actresses feel confident in exploring such distant avenues every now and then too.
मैं एक अलग किस्म की लड़की हूँ.
Number 8, Alauddin Khilji in Padmavat. We'll start this one off by saying that we love Shahid Kapoor, but even he would admit that this movie was a Ranveer Singh showcase. Right from the first promo of Padmavat, it was abundantly clear which character Bhansali was most interested in exploring. And if it wasn't as clear then, the final product put a pretty decisive end to the argument. The 2017 epic period drama saw Ranveer Singh play his first and only negative role yet opposite Shahid Kapoor and Deepika Padukone's protagonists, and pretty comfortably swept all the buzz from under the other two leads. It only helped that Singh got the most screen time and all the cool bits to really get the fans on his side in comparison to the monotonous writing for both his counterparts, but credit where it's due, Ranveer was phenomenal as Khilji. From his obsession over a queen he hasn't even seen before, to his Dothraki warlord-like presence, Ranveer owned every frame he was a part of in Padmavat and will surely go down as one of the best on-screen negative roles in recent history. Number 7, Mogambo in Mr. India. No villains list is complete today without mentioning this legendary villain from the 1987 sci-fi flick. While Anil Kapoor's Arun Verma, also known as Mr. India himself, has become a legendary character in his own right, there's no denying that this movie was owned by Amrish Puri's Mogambo. This was the face of evil for those growing up in the 80s. Nowadays, when we see villains on screen, it's easy to expect complex character arcs for them and motivations that make sense. But Mogambo was as straightforward a villain as cinematically possible, and we still can't get over him. Mogambo meant destruction and lusted for power. That's it. That's totally what Mogambo wanted, and we all bought it. From his throne-like den to his costume to his dialogues, everything about Mogambo became instantly popular among the masses and has still stayed that way nearly 33 years after the film's release.
वो क्या समझता है कि वो मुझसे टकरा सकता है? मुझसे? Mogambo se!
Number 6, Mrs Sonia Roy in Aitraz. In terms of sheer risk, it's safe to rank Priyanka Chopra's Sonia Roy higher than Kajol's Isha Devan in Gupt just because of its close contrast with reality. In Sonia Roy, we got a manipulative gold digger who would not only go leaps and bounds to progress her modeling career, but also somebody who could instantly marry into fortune regardless of the age difference with her partner. But that wasn't all. Roy tries to get physically involved with one of her employees, a married man who once dated her in the past, and after getting clearly rejected, does whatever in her power to destroy the guy's career, his reputation, and his marriage. A huge leap from the traditionally angelic portrayal of women in movies, Aitraz put Chopra on the map as a force to be reckoned with in just her second year in Bollywood.
मैंने तुम्हें एक मामूली एग्जीक्यूटिव से कंपनी का डायरेक्टर इसलिए बनाया ताकि तुम मेरे साथ रह सको, मेरे पास रह सको.
Number 5, Lajja Shankar Pandey in Sangharsh. Admit it, deep down you're still very terrified of Ashutosh Rana because of his role in this 1999 thriller. The movie, which starred Akshay Kumar and Preeti Zinta in lead roles, has over time become synonymous for its absolutely haunting villain in Lajja Shankar Pandey, a cult-following serial child killer who kidnaps a cop's kid for the same intent during the film's runtime. Unlike most of the villains from the 90s who are universally loved today for their respective roles, Rana played evil in its purest form here that we still have nightmares about. And if that wasn't enough for you to fear Pandey, in one scene, he dressed up as a eunuch, bit a grown man despite being shot, and scared the living shit out of a police officer. Zinta's expressions here pretty much summed up our collective reactions when thinking about this frightful character for years to come. Number 4, Makdi the Witch in Makdi. Staying true to the haunting villains for at least one more entry, and we have to talk about Shabana Azmi in Vishal Bhardwaj's first directorial, Makdi. Imagine seeing this creature on your TV as a child, as some of us did, and getting absolutely petrified of her appearing in your nightmare. Makdi was an ultimate horror experience for children, which didn't feature a lot of action or traditional villainous tropes. What it did feature was a scary witch who would scarcely appear on screen to make us deeply uncomfortable, drink chicken blood, and turn humans into animals, and that's honestly enough for us to stay away from her.
मुन्नी को मेरा प्यार जरूर देना.
Number 3, Shakaal in Shan. At first glance, the cute bald head along with that big welcoming smile may make you feel comfortable, but do not be fooled by those tricks unless you're okay with getting eaten alive by sharks and crocodiles. Having his own island where he operates his missions from, Shakaal was perhaps the most high-tech villain of the 90s, whose entire base moved at the clicks of certain buttons he had control over. Played by the eternal good guy Kulbhushan Kharbanda, it may surprise the younger generation here that the actor's most iconic role to date is that of a villain. Being pitted up against a plethora of heroes alone, including Amitabh Bachchan, Shashi Kapoor, Sunil Dutt, and Shatrughan Sinha, Kharbanda's Shakaal was so powerful and mighty that he became an instant icon and has stayed relevant for all these years.
जी हाँ, मैं ही शाकाल हूँ.
Number 2, Rahul Mehra in Dar. It's astonishing to realize that what has now become one of the most iconic negative roles in history was originally rejected by a plethora of actors at that time, including Sanjay Dutt, Ajay Devgan, and Aamir Khan, the latter of which even began shooting but dropped out midway due to creative differences. Despite the creator's reservations then, the role finally landed in yet-to-be-proven Shah Rukh Khan's lap, and all's history since. You're at your best when you have nothing to lose, and that's exactly what we saw in Khan's rendition of the dangerously obsessive stalker Rahul in Dar. In a single stroke of genius, the film, coupled with Bazigar the same year where the actor played an anti-hero, propelled Khan to superstardom overnight, something that didn't sit very well with the then more established Sunny Deol, who played the protagonist in Dar after himself rejecting the villain's role, alleging that the role was never supposed to be as meaty as it ended up becoming.
I love you.
And number 1, Gabbar Singh in Sholay. If a pretty celebrated actor goes on to eventually be known for a single character that he played during his entire career, you know how popular that character would be. The 1975 action thriller is widely considered to be the single greatest film in the history of Hindi cinema, and Gabbar Singh stands at the helm of Sholay. Having an ensemble list of protagonists including Dharmendra, Sanjeev Kumar, and even Amitabh Bachchan, Sholay presented a single antagonist for them all to take on: Amjad Khan's Gabbar Singh. Whether it be his hilarious yet scary dialogues, or his physical appearance, or his right at money one-liners, everything about Gabbar Singh is amazingly still so relevant in pop culture today after 45 years of the film's initial release that it's impossible to imagine a world without the greatest villain of all time.
कितने आदमी थे सरदार 2 आदमी थे
And there you have it, guys. Top 10 villains who ended up stealing the show. Did we miss any of your favorites? Let us know in the comment section down below. Please subscribe to Filmanter and press the bell icon to never miss an update. With that said, have a safe week ahead. This is Amir and I will see you soon.